Welcome back to the Ed Show. Now, as we get closer to the October 1st launch of the Affordable Care Act, clearly there has been an unprecedented organized effort by Republicans and special interest groups to misinform the public on this law. And right now they're scoring pretty well. This is what millions of dollars will do for you. 62% of Americans say that they are at least confused about Obamacare. Every American deserves access to affordable health care. So we have spent a lot of time on this program calling out Republican lies, because that's exactly what they are. And today the president took the stand again, went on the campaign trail to educate folks about Obamacare to Prince George's Community College in Largo, Maryland. And he did some calling out of his own.
Here's one more that I've heard. I like this one. We have to, and I'm quoting here, we have to repeal this failure before
it literally kills women, kills children, kills senior citizens.
Kills senior citizens. Now, I have to say that one was from 6 months ago. I just want to point out we still have women, we still have children, we still have senior citizens. All this would be funny if it wasn't so crazy.
It is crazy, but President Obama knows the Republican effort to repeal the Affordable Care Act is all about politics.
The fact is, the Republicans' biggest fear at this point is not that Affordable Care Act will fail. What they're worried about is it's going to succeed. I mean, think about it. If it was as bad as they said it was going to be, then they could just go ahead and let it happen, and then everybody would hate it so much, and then everybody would vote to repeal it, and that would be the end of it. So what is it that they're so scared about?
All right, joining us tonight on our rapid response panel, Bob Shrum, the Daily Beast, and also Congresswoman Terry Sewell of Alabama. Great to have both of you with us. Bob, you first. Let's get the push in politics on this. Why does the president have to campaign for something that's already a law? What do you see him doing here? Why is he doing it?
Well, he's out there really telling people how this law is going to work, calling out the Republican lies. Look, Obamacare is not going to be defunded. It is going to be rolled out. There will be glitches, by the way, as there were glitches with Medicare, which is now one of the most popular programs in the country. And I think the same thing will happen over time with the Affordable Care Act. You know, he had a great line in that speech, Ed. He said, someday they're not going to be calling it Obamacare anymore because it's going to work. And they're going to say, well, I voted for that thing, or that thing is safe with us. So I think he's out there making the case to the American people, and you have to do it because there's a flood of money on the other side and a flood of invective on the other side that's distorting the facts and scaring people.
Terry Sewell, how invested are your colleagues in this to go home and make sure that the information is correct? How far deep does this really run where it would have an impact of negativity on Democrats, if there is any?
I think that it's really important that all of us who are supportive of the Affordable Care Act get out there and make sure that our constituents get the right information. So I was very happy that the president was on the stump today. You know, they've spent over $40 million in negative campaigning on this. If we had a fraction of that money explaining to people how they can enroll and the benefits of ACA, we would be doing well. So I just think it's really imperative that all of us are vested in making sure that the ACA rolls out well.
Well, Congresswoman, if I look at the income levels and the socioeconomic makeup of Alabama, Alabama's a big state in this. There's a lot of people that are going to benefit from Obamacare and this health care law. Where does that take you?
You know, over 600,000 Alabamians are uninsured. And so a disproportionate number of that is in my district. So I think that we as Alabamians should not be on the forefront trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act. We need to be trying to enroll our constituents in making sure that this works. We also have lots and lots of folks who have pre-existing conditions in my district, and I know that they would benefit immediately from the ACA.
All right. The president made it personal today. Take a listen to this.
I remember the fear Michelle and I felt when Sasha was a few months old and she got meningitis, and we raced to the hospital and they had to give her a spinal tap, and we didn't know what was wrong and we were terrified. Never felt so scared or helpless in all of my life, but we were fortunate enough to have good health insurance. And I remember looking around that emergency room and thinking, what about the parents who aren't that lucky? What about the parents who get hit with a bill of $20,000 or $30,000 and they've got no idea how to pay for it? What about those parents whose kids have a chronic illness like asthma and have to keep on going back to the emergency room because they don't have a regular doctor and the bills never stop coming? Who is going to stand up for them? In the wealthiest nation on earth, no one should go broke just because they get sick.
Bob Shrum, how do the Republicans compete with that?
Well, they don't really. That's why they're telling all of these horror stories that started with death panels a few years ago. This is the fundamental dividing line on this issue. Whether you believe health care is a right and not a privilege, and whether it should be a right in this country. That's what Obamacare takes us a long way toward. And you're going to say, and by the way, Ted Cruz in that endless filibuster where he said, or bloviation, where he said not much that made sense, said one thing that was exactly right, that once this thing takes effect, it's going to be impossible to repeal it. It's going to be impossible to repeal it because the lies the Congresswoman is talking about can't stand when people are experiencing it in real time. When they experience it, when they live with it, when they are covered despite pre-existing conditions, when they can buy insurance at an affordable cost, all the rest of this is going to go away. And you're going to have Republican candidates, as I've said to you a couple of weeks ago, you're going to have Republican candidates a few years from now saying, oh, I wouldn't touch Obamacare, I just want to strengthen it, except they won't call it Obamacare.
Exactly. You know, I think that it's really, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is I think that what the biggest fear Republican colleagues, my Republican colleagues have is that the Affordable Care Act will succeed, not that it will fail. And from a personal note, you know, my dad struggled with stroke after stroke after stroke. He's currently wheelchair bound. And I know that when I campaigned 3 years ago, I campaigned on the slogan that the Affordable Care Act and health care should be a right, not a fight. We shouldn't be fighting over this. We should be providing health care for all Americans. I think it's a no-win situation for the Republicans to really be advocating that 30 million Americans should be uninsured. It's really, I think, how could you stand by something like that?
It's just a matter of time before the worm turns in a big, big way. I just don't think that you can trump any of those personal stories. And the president's done a great job of putting a human element on it, not only with the fate that his mother suffered, but also the experience of his family and his young daughter at the time. I think the president, Congresswoman, needs to do more of this. Do you think that there are congressional members that want to see him do more of this?
Absolutely. You know, the biggest, most powerful advocate we have is the president. So I think that we have to, he has to continuously be on the stump talking about the good values and the good benefits of the Affordable Care Act.
All right. Congresswoman Terry Sewell, Bob Shrum, Daily Beast, great to have you with us tonight. Thanks so much.